Hey guys, it's Ben. If you're a parent of a teenager who is currently learning to drive and they're in the middle of driving lessons, or they're about to get their license, or in the next year that they're going to need to learn to drive, you've probably spent a fair bit of time thinking about the mechanics of driving, so steering, accelerating, braking, around corners, road rules, etc. But there is one thing that may surprise you, and that is that most serious driving mistakes don't necessarily happen because someone can't control the car. Usually they happen because of decisions that the driver makes uh, under pressure and under certain situations. It's not necessarily a mechanical skill, it's more a psychological skill. So, yes, driving does involve being able to steer, brake, accelerate, that kind of thing, but there is definitely a psychological side to it. Once you understand this, the entire way that your teen's going to prepare to drive is going to change. So basically, if you think of it, driving is like a decision environment. You're constantly making decisions as you're driving along. Now, a 2 second lapse in attention, or a slightly delayed judgment, or a decision that's misplaced due to not being confident. These small decisions or things that the teen makes in a situation can have irreversible consequences, given the environment and the fact that they're driving on the road with other people and other cars. Now, for teenagers, it's quite a challenging thing, especially when they're learning. Their brain is still being developed in specific areas such as risk taking, decision making, emotional control or emotional regulation, long-term consequence assessments. So basically, second, third, fourth order consequences, that kind of thing. So it doesn't mean that they're reckless. It just means that they're new to this decision-making arena, I guess you'd call it, or environment, that kind of thing. One of the most, I'd say, powerful psychological forces in driving is cognitive bias. So let's say every driver, especially young drivers, carry hidden assumptions based on their past experiences in relation to driving. So some assumptions, for example, for a young person might be that it won't happen to me, or I've done this before if they've had a similar situation, or I've seen it happen before, I know what to do, I'm fast enough to react if something goes wrong. Those kind of assumptions, and they're basically automatic mental shortcuts that their brain uses to simplify complex situations. But that doesn't mean that this is the right thing, because on the road, these shortcuts per se can be dangerous. Experienced drivers gradually develop the skills and a smaller time frame margin that they can make these decisions and the correct decisions over time, but that only comes with experience, which leads to confidence. In short, we call that situational awareness. That needs to be developed. So it is a skill and it can be developed. So for a teen driver, instead of practicing problems, they often react to them, and the reaction is always slower than anticipating it. So what we want to do is try to teach the teen to anticipate the problems, to be situationally aware, to be able to predict or what's happening and make decisions proactively rather than reactively. So, like I just said, thinking ahead. So, a lot of experienced drivers, whether they're professional drivers, pilots, or any sort of other uh, person in control of some sort of motor vehicle that's experienced, and they all share one skill, and basically they're 2 or 3 steps ahead of what the present moment is. So they're thinking ahead. They're thinking, well, if I do this, this will happen, and if that happens, then this will happen. So they're always thinking ahead, looking what could happen next. This is what you want your teens to start thinking about when they're learning to drive. It's going to give them the best opportunity moving forward, and it'll become second nature or a habit to them as they continue on. Another major psychological factor in driving with teens is basically emotions. We all know that everyone suffers from emotions, stress, anxiety, depression, overconfidence. There's pressure from their friends, from their peer groups, anger, frustration, excitement, all those kind of sensations and emotions. When emotions rise, their level of thinking or their cognitive ability has there is a risk that it drops. So their cognitive performance can drop. Basically, the brain narrows its attention onto certain things. The peripheral awareness shrinks, so they're not looking around, they're not taking in what's happening. So basically, their situational awareness decreases or becomes less effective. As such, their decision making and their thinking in regards to risks and second order consequences declines or takes a hit, basically. So in regards to teaching teens how to remain calm and how to make decisions in dynamic, fluid environments and situations is definitely something that we cover. A lot of the drivers' education out there focuses on the mechanical side of things. So your steering, your braking, your accelerating and whatnot. Yes, those things are important, and without them, you won't be able to drive on the road. Your team won't be able to drive a car or operate the vehicle. So they are important. However, it is only part of the challenge of learning to drive. The real challenge is the psychological side of things and the emotional side of things, the judgment, the attention, the focus, the patience, risk aversion, hazard perception, situational awareness, all those cognitive abilities, decision making under pressure in a fluid environment. These are all psychological skills that are just as or maybe even more important than the mechanical side of things and actually learning the skill of driving. So basically, without this training or without learning how to use these skills and have these skills, you're possibly setting your teen up to fail on the road, unfortunately. They're going to progress a lot slower through trial and error. They may not carry the correct habits through their driving career. They won't have the discipline in the right areas of driving. And unfortunately, the road is not a forgiving place. It's not a forgiving environment. So if you're not up to scratch or you're not up to standard, the roadway and the road users aren't going to wait around for you to catch up. So basically, as a parent, your goal isn't to simply get your teen to pass their driving tests so they have their license. Your goal isn't to just to have them be able to drive down the road and pick up their friends and whatnot. Yes, you want that, but ultimately you want to know that when they're out at night with friends in the car or friends around, and there's a situation that arises where they have to make a fast decision on their feet against what their peers are saying, you want to know that they can make that right decision. You want to know that they can think ahead, they can make a right judgment call, think what the consequences are going to be, and make that decision and stand up for themselves. Basically, you want them to have that confidence. Basically, if you can get them to read the road environment or read situations as they're driving, that's the ultimate goal for you. It's going to give you a lot of reassurance down the track, or when you're sitting at home laying in bed at night thinking about where they are, what they're doing, who they're with, and what's going on. You may also think do you want your teen to have that kind of mindset or that psychological training at the start of their driving career? Or would you prefer that they start their driving career and that you just hope down the track that they'll pick these things up as they go from various sources? So I know what I would prefer for if I was teaching someone. I would want them to have it from the beginning, so it's in their heads. They know what the standard is. They know where they need to be. They know this is going to work. Um, but ultimately, that's up to you. Thanks for listening.